Hello, this is Darrell Castle with today's Castle Report. This is Friday, the 11th day of July in the year of our Lord 2025. I will be talking about the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the memo recently released by the Trump administration, which asserted that Epstein killed himself. He had no client list. He wasn't blackmailing anyone. Was that memo truthful or just a pack of lies? It's pretty clear that the evidence supports the pack of lies position, but we, the public, are supposed to believe those lies or at least pretend that we believe them. So there were no pedophiles who happened to be also rich, famous, and powerful. There were no blackmail examples for us to consider. And we have a bogus video, not even on the correct floor where his body was found, to tell us there was no murder. Yes, folks, the saga of John F. Kennedy and the Warren Commission report continues. The saga continues, and we, the people, are expected to look the other way for political reasons or to prevent the embarrassment of the country. I suppose it would be embarrassing if information were to be released showing that the CIA, along with foreign intelligence agencies, conspired to kill President Kennedy or that Jeffrey Epstein was a CIA asset. That would be embarrassing. The explanation for Epstein is so ridiculous that almost no one could believe it, but they tell us with a straight face. I don't know whether they think that due to decades of life in their schools we are too stupid to understand, or whether we are so morally corrupt we just don't care anymore. Okay, folks. Having laid the groundwork for my outrage, let me get to why I'm so outraged and why you should be as well. First of all, I think Pam Bondi is a fine prosecutor, an excellent choice for Attorney General. I was happy when Trump nominated her because I was aware of her record as Florida Attorney General. Her intelligence, hard work were often disguised from adversaries by her physical beauty. I don't want to be forced to alter my position of her, but I do have some questions that need answers. Pam, are you now, or have you been lying to the American people about the Epstein matter, or were you just confused? No, I don't think you were confused because you're just too smart for that. So the question becomes, did you willfully and knowingly lie to us? Because if you did, you should be bothered by the hypocrisy of that. Were you ordered to lie and invent the nonsense memo that went out because it was an obvious pack of lies? If you were ordered to lie or just expected to lie out of loyalty, I understand that. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. Most of us at some point in our lives are faced with a decision about loyalty to the one who appointed us or loyalty to a higher one. If you lied out of loyalty, as I said, I understand, but I'm very disappointed because you lied to the most loyal supporters of the president's agenda. There is no going back from this story. I'm sorry for what it has done to you and to your career. Nevertheless, we the people deserve the truth, although we no longer expect it. We don't expect it because we accept the vile corruption at every stage of government as normal. We aren't even bothered by it anymore. It's just, well, normal. See, Pam, that's what makes this systemic corruption of today much worse than the systemic corruption of yesteryear. When JFK was assassinated, we were naive about corruption. We didn't understand that the government of this country had changed drastically. When we discovered that we were supposed to believe a lone nut killed the president, we did believe it. And when we learned that was a pack of lies, something died inside of us. Pam, you and the administration you worked for had a chance to change all that. I can remember the hopeful anticipation I had in the new cabinet because I knew those people had a reputation for honesty and integrity. I don't blame you, Pam. I don't agree with those who say you should be fired. Why should you fire someone for carrying out your own orders? What I'm saying is that something far more important than Jeffrey Epstein is at stake here. And if you were ordered to lie, then the honorable thing to do is to resign. Let me give you an example of the deception and the nothing to see here, folks, just move along attitude that had become so familiar to all of us. The other day, I heard a news conference with you and the president, which primarily focused on the disaster in Texas. A reporter asked a question about Epstein, and you started to answer, but the president spoke up and said, "Let me answer." Then he chided this reporter. He upbraided him for talking about Epstein, for asking that question. He went on to portray the question as old news. He said people have been talking about that man for years. Now we have this disaster, so I can't believe you asked that question. That's a rough paraphrase of how the question was answered. The president is a bright guy, so I'm certain he knows the question really wasn't about Epstein, and the issue is not Epstein at all. No, the question is about a list of former presidents, possibly even including the present one. I've seen no evidence of that, but that lie leaves the question open. The question is also about former prime ministers of Israel, including the current one. It's about why the Israeli prime minister has visited the White House 3 times since your inauguration, with the third one that's coinciding with the memo. It's about CEOs of tech companies, CEOs like Bill Gates. It's about lawyers so famous they're iconic names, lawyers such as Alan Dershowitz. It's about the richest, most famous, most powerful people in this world who just might possibly be under the blackmail influence of foreign intelligence agencies. We were promised, quote, radical tech transparency. When the new administration chose its cabinet and the Senate confirmed those people, it turns out that the transparency is not so radical at all, just the same old pack of lies. The lies are apparently a message to the dark underbelly that runs this world. The message is, don't worry. Don't worry, because we have your back. Nothing bad is going to happen to you because we are in this power game together. That's the reason I see for the memo. It's just a message not to us, but to the guilty. You went on camera in a kind of staged photo op at the White House and told us that you had the files and the list on your desk and you were reviewing them before release. Now we are expected to believe there's no list at all. It just doesn't exist. There is no list. There's no files. He killed himself, and there was no blackmail. Pam, a blind man could see through that pack of lies in 30 seconds. We're given plenty of transparency in matters that are trivial, but in the most important matters, we're just fed a steady diet of lies. We as Americans have no right to know who's killing our leaders or who is stealing and selling the most valuable resource we have, and that is our children. Pam, you are a prosecutor and a very good one, as well as supposedly a Christian. Tell me this. How can you be a part of protecting people who sell children to be raped by the most powerful people in the world? Yes, I said raped because these children had no choice in the matter, apparently. You told us there were thousands of videos with explicit portrayals of interaction with the rich and powerful. One video was publicly marked, quote, nude girls. Now you want us to believe it was all just a mistake. The videos of children, we are told, was not just child pornography that Epstein downloaded off the internet. Supposedly that's what it was. That's a crime, but he was not charged with any crime as far as I know. What about those videos of Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew with children? They all just disappeared. So just move along here, folks. Nothing happening here. Nothing to see here. Again, I want to emphasize that the crimes that Epstein was accused of, as horrible as they were, are not the most important thing. By the way, why was he in jail if he wasn't guilty of anything? When he was accused, pled guilty, served time briefly in Florida a few years ago, why did the prosecutor say he was ordered to back off because Epstein was a product of intelligence? The real issue about the intelligence organization for which Epstein worked and how he acquired $1 billion, what he used that money to do. Did he run a blackmail organization whereby the rich and powerful, especially those that could help Israel, were filmed having sex with children who had been bought and sold like commodities? I've often wondered why Israel is so very important to the U.S. Do you ever wonder why Israel is constantly at war, constantly outnumbered, but constantly on the attack anyway? The U.S. military excuse me, folks, always comes to their aid. Don't worry about a war against a population 10 times your own because the United States has your back. Would it influence any of the pro-Israel war hawks in Congress, the Senate, the military, everywhere else, if we knew for certain that Israeli intelligence was blackmailing our leaders? I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just asking the question and demanding a real investigation. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino at FBI were our new, more honest officials who pledged to us they were going to conduct real investigations to get the truth. And then they come out with such an unbelievable pack of lies. Even they are ashamed of it. You can see it on their faces when they speak in public. So, Pam, these two men have been taken into the web of corruption that is now the U.S. government. along with you. It even taints their investigation of their predecessors' corrupt, vile, wicked, Russia hate gate hoax. In conclusion, every institution of government has been hollowed out by pervasive corruption. When the corruption that might possibly be changed is discovered, its friends in Congress and the Senate, also totally corrupt, vehemently object to their special form of largesse for their donors being revealed. It's all very sad for the country because we might not be able to recover from it this time. We might not be able to vote our way out of it. Hemingway once famously said, when his character was asked how his bankruptcy happened, he said gradually at first, then all at once. Well, that's the way empires die as well. Finally, folks, Pam, I have one final question for you. Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison for child sex trafficking, which, as you know, is a politically correct term for child sex slavery. What children were trafficked? Who were they trafficked to? Who bought those children, Pam? Inquiring minds want to know. I pray those monsters do not escape justice. At least that's the way I see it. Till next time, folks, this is Darrell Castle. Thanks for listening.